has been a historic night at the White House where President Trump says he's never had a better relationship with Australia, saying our Prime Minister is made of titanium. During a lengthy meeting in the Oval Office, Scott Morrison backed in Donald Trump's trade strategy on China, even as the President warned there would not be a deal before the 2020 US election.
For more on this, we're joined live by Sky News political reporter and host of First Edition, Laura Jays. Good morning to you, Laura. I think they'll be playing Sia's Titanium in the future. It appears the two leaders have solidified their bond.
They have. It's been a busy night while you've all been sleeping back home. The President and the Prime Minister have had an hour-long meeting in the Oval Office, then a kind of impromptu media conference in the Oval Office that went for well beyond half an hour, which is not completely unusual for this presidency, but unusual all the same. And then there's recently been a meeting at the Pentagon, but of course it started with all the pomp and ceremony. I put this together for you overnight. All the power and prestige of the White House didn't stifle the warm air of familiarity and friendship. The President, the Prime Minister, Melania and Jenny at ease in each other's company, celebrating each other's wins and our shared success.
As General Monash later wrote, the Americans were ever after received by the Australians as blood brothers.
As I just said to the President, thanks, mate. I'm reminded of a story of a young American soldier in the First World War calling out to Australian soldiers for help to attend to the wounded. And an Australian soldier replied in the notorious blunt language of soldiers, which I will censor here. But he said, "Sure, Yank, I'll go. We're in this thing together."
It's a heady mix of military precision planning where nothing is left to chance. Children, though, aren't beholden to such protocols. Casting an eye over more than 4,000 Australians and Americans that cram the South Lawn to the Oval Office, where in 2006, George W. Bush described John Howard as a man of steel. In 2019, Trump has gone one better.
I would say a man of titanium. You know, titanium's much tougher than steel.
The ceremony provided only a brief reprieve for a President and Prime Minister managing issues farther afield. In the Oval Office, President Trump announced the toughest sanctions on Iran to date, one step closer to military action.
1 minute, I could do it right here in front of you, and that would be it. And then you'd have a nice big story to report. And I think it shows far more strength to do it the way we're doing it.
The Prime Minister more tempered in his response. America did not ask and Australia did not offer to bolster more personnel and resources in the Strait of Hormuz.
We both would like to see a prosperous Iran. We'd like to see the people of Iran, well, let's see the people right across the world to be able to benefit from prosperous economies.
President Trump upped the ante on China, linking the economic trade war to a concerning rise of China's military strength.
Because if we allow China to take $500 billion out of the hide of the United States, that money goes into military and other things.
The Prime Minister emphatic in his defence of free trade as a pillar of global stability.
China's growth has been great for Australia, but we need to make sure that we all compete on the same playing field.
After a 1 hour behind closed door meeting, the focus remained on China and an admission that the trade war will be prolonged.
No, I don't think I need it before the election.
But Scott Morrison was assured the tariff exemptions we enjoyed on steel is not the last favour from our ally.
I did tariff relief with respect to a certain product in particular coming out of Australia, and that's something that we wouldn't do for anybody else.
The Prime Minister, too, seemed to endorse Donald Trump's negotiating strategy in order to get China to play by the rules.
This is, the new generation of deals I think we'll see China do, which the President has been working on, and he's been working on it for some time, and we wish him well in that process. There are some real serious issues that have to be addressed in that deal.
So it's been a busy morning here at the White House. That Oval Office meeting was particularly interesting. We had there the President describing Scott Morrison as made of titanium. That's after George Bush, of course, famously called John Howard made of steel. Donald Trump in 2019 has gone one better for the current Australian Prime Minister. There were serious issues here. As they entered the Oval Office, the US, Steve Mnuchin, came into the office and announced that there would be further sanctions on Iran. This means that the central bank of Iran does not have access to funds, and that is the highest possible sanction for Iran. So in the eyes of many, that is one step even closer towards more severe military intervention. Now, we all thought China would be the elephant in the room. Well, it wasn't the elephant. It was talked about quite frankly, to be honest. Donald Trump says he's not backing down. He even said, you know, he could go to 30% tariffs on Chinese goods. Now, that's not something Scott Morrison exactly endorsed, but he certainly wasn't backing away from his support of Donald Trump. Now, his strategy in all of this could arguably hurt Australia if it is prolonged. And one revealing snippet of information today is that Donald Trump doesn't think there will be a deal by the 2020 election.
Yeah, it's certainly a delicate balance, the whole Australia-Chinese thing, but the tour of the US for Scott Morrison's off to a great start. Thanks, Laura. We'll get back to you real soon.